gonna pop out real quickly for just a second, and I'm gonna pop right back in before we start.
Okay.
Yeah, real quickly. Sorry about that.
Hey, Privet, where does one find all of these backdrops?
Space Goat is what this one's called. Let's see what else we got.
What is that?
The Space Goat.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I need one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I like stuff like that. I do.
Pretty high tech there.
All right. So there's just plain cat one.
All the animals you would put up a cat.
Yeah.
The only problem is, Privet, when we're back in person and you sit there on the horseshoe,
All
you
right.
have to like dress in a manner consistent with how you behaved on Zoom.
Kitty.
You are not right.
What's this one? Poodle. Oh,
Oh wow.
I got one. Well, there we go. Doesn't really work.
Never one I might.
Ostrich.
I'm very curious if the municipal councilor has any objection to board members appearing as animals.
You know, it'd be interesting if something got denied an appeal to present to the court.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
District judge or Supreme Court looking at that.
I think they would be entertained by it. Actually, it would probably be a very nice break. But once the meeting actually starts, we probably won't do that, right?
Yeah.
I had a feeling that was coming. Staff, is there any reason we cannot begin the meeting?
Well, I see all of our members are logged in on PrimeGov. I don't see our first applicant logged in though. I tried making a call.
Okay.
Cindy,
Well,
would
maybe
everyone
by the
get
time
in?
we, sorry?
This is asking Cindy if there's a couple of attendees.
Yeah. Chair, I'm not sure on our first item if we have our applicant.
Okay. Well, it looks like all the board members are here. So
Correct.
as we get through the introductory stuff, maybe the applicant will be here. But we'll go ahead and get started.
I did want to advise you that PrimeGov has been acting up the last couple days, so it's running really slow.
Yep, it's slowing everything down.
Okay. That's good to know for voting. And if we need to do a voice vote, we can do that
Yes.
on some certain matters. So, okay. Welcome everyone to the City of Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment special video meeting for April 1st, 2021, which is now called to order. If the meeting's disconnected at any time, the meeting will be stopped and reconvened once the connection can be restored. The connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes. Items remaining for consideration will be continued to the next regularly scheduled Board of Adjustment meeting. For the agenda, documents, and minutes, those are located on okc.primegov.com/public/portal. For anyone wishing to speak today, hopefully you've signed up with city staff already in advance and notified them that you are hoping to speak on an item. If you've done so, we'll call on you at the appropriate time. We'll call the case and then we'll recognize the applicant or the representative to speak. Then I'll recognize any supporters and then any protests, and then we will close with the applicant speaking. Public comment will then be closed unless specifically reopened by me or another board member. The board will deliberate and then vote. If you have not prearranged to speak with it's on an item with city staff, I will regularly ask if anyone else would like to be heard on a matter. If you'd like to speak and you have not previously signed up, please use the raise your hand function on Zoom while a matter is being considered. The board and the staff will be notified that you've raised your hands. And note that if you've already prearranged to speak with city, you've prearranged with city staff to speak, you should not need to use the raise your hand function unless for some reason you're not on one of our lists. For speakers other than the applicant, please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you call in after your item has been heard, or if you want to be heard on a different matter, you'll be allowed to speak under citizens to be heard at the end of the agenda. I ask that all participants keep their sound on mute until you're recognized to speak. If you're on a phone, press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. Board members will be allowed to ask questions and make comments at any time during the meeting. Please do not interrupt board members while they're speaking because we need a clear record and it makes the meetings go by much faster. Before you begin with your comments, please identify yourself by your name and your address. And this meeting is called to order. Ms. Lakin, can you please call the roll?
Chairman Merchant,
Present.
Member Asbury,
Present.
Member Privet,
Present.
Member Voorhees,
Present.
Member Ybarra.
Present.
Chair, we have our quorum.
Okay. And it looks like we've gone full screen on our end, board members. So press exit in advance to not be full screen if you're only using one screen so that you can see the voting pane when it appears. First item on the agenda is to receive the minutes from the March 18th, 2021 meeting. Do we have any changes or a motion?
Move to approve minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the March 18th, 2021 meeting. Once you're able to, cast your votes.
Mr. Voorhees,
I don't see yay, nay.
can you
I
press
vote
escape?
yes.
That escape button, Mike.
I did. I'll do it again.
All right.
I still vote yes.
Okay,
Adding under there.
and on my screen, it shows the minutes are approved, although I'm still seeing the voting pane. There's the confirmation, so the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is continuance request or withdrawals. I didn't see any on the agenda. Mr. Chambliss, did you see any continuance requests? Are you aware of any continuance requests or withdrawals?
I don't see JJ on the line, but we have none.
Oh, okay. I'll open it up to applicants now. If there are any applicants that wanted to seek a continuance request or withdrawal, now would be the time to request one. Hearing none, we'll move on to the items on the consent docket, and seeing none, we'll move to items requiring a separate vote.
And we have item number 1, case number 14828, request of Quail Springs Corporate Park Association for a variance to sign regulations for placing a sign in the right-of-way located at Quail Springs Parkway and North May Avenue.
Okay, it's been a few minutes. Is the applicant on the line?
I don't see them.
Hearing none, we'll move that to the end of the agenda for now and move on to item number 2.
Okay. Item number 2, case number 14831, request of David Box on behalf of Tyler Enterprises for a special exception for a telecommunication tower in the O2 General Office District located at 5041B South Shields Boulevard.
Good afternoon, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. On behalf of the applicant, also with us somewhere in the virtual world is Tony Tyler. This is a special exception application to permit us to build a 600-foot tall radio tower. This is replacing a radio tower that had been there for quite some time. 1976 is when it was installed. And this is something that happened due to the October ice storm. The ice storm from October took this down. It is worth noting the tower fell as it was intended to do. In our cell tower applications, we always talk about how these are supposed to collapse in on itself. It did fail properly in on itself. And so this is simply seeking to rebuild what was there, consistent with what's been there since 1976. So we'd be happy to answer any questions and would ask for your approval.
So I assume there just wasn't the same setback requirement when this was originally constructed, and that's why we're here today.
Well, yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think it requires it anyways, because the 1976 application was under a different zoning code. In order to go get our permit, the 8th floor is going to require us to have this special exception. But we do believe we meet, there's no variances attached to this. So it does meet all of the requirements. It's just under O2 zoning. It is a special exception use.
Yeah, I may have misspoke, but I guess I'm just trying to understand exactly why we're here. If there's a special exception that was already on file, or it just wasn't needed at the time in the 70s and now it's needed, or if it's any time one of these is constructed and we need a new special exception.
I'll defer to staff on that piece of it.
They just told you needed one, so you're here.
Here we are.
Okay.
We were just told a new one would be required on this new tower going up.
Yeah, our first ask, Mr. Chairman, was to, as much as I enjoy presenting in front of this board, my first ask was, can't we just go build it since we're simply replacing it? And we were told no, that it did need a special exception.
Okay. Board members, questions or comments?
Mr. Box, I had a question. In your application, it says that you're seeking a special exception to waive the landscaping requirement. Was that also part of the original special exception, the 76 one?
Yeah, so we're not seeking to do anything different. Here, if you look at the image before you, landscaping would really serve no purpose. It's an interior to our site. It's surrounded by industrial zoning to our west and north. It's not visible if you're familiar with Shields to that area. The base of this won't be visible. Certainly you'll see the tower itself, but the base of this, where any landscaping would be, wouldn't be visible. So we just don't think it serves any purpose.
I don't know, Commissioner Hinkle can see out his window there. He might want to see some evergreens.
You can go plant one, I assume.
The only thing that troubles me with this one, and I'm kind of severely troubled, is that I thought Mr. Box only took really controversial, highly contested applications. And the fact that this one looks pretty straightforward just gives me a little bit of pause here. I don't know.
I don't know how to respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
No, this one looks like a straightforward case. I don't see any issues with it, particularly if it's just replacing something that was already there and replacing something that
Really?
has previously failed in the way that it was supposed to fail. I'm just used to seeing some protests and things like that. So I can support this application. Board
Perspective.
members, any questions, comments, or a motion?
Well, I was going to say perspective is a bit funny because in my mind, everything I bring forward to the board or planning commission is very straightforward and no issue.
Of course.
There you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's not going to be an Airbnb at the top of this thing or something. I don't know.
With any luck.
Yeah.
I have a question real quickly, Chairman, because I don't see why it's before the Board of Adjustments either. So what would we say to make a motion?
I think in this case, it's just approve the special exception and approve the application as drafted.
Okay.
If it fails in the future, and I hope that this tower doesn't, but if it fails in the future, that will be an issue for the applicant to determine whether they need, and working with the city, whether they need another special exception or whether this one will carry on. I don't see any time limit we need to put on this or anything. And so again, I think that'll be an issue if this ever comes up again. But I agree with you. It's a little unusual. To me, it strikes me as something that just, they didn't need a special exception in
Not at
1976,
all.
maybe. And now they do because the code has changed. And so here we are. So
So maybe they need to look at changing the codes themselves instead of bringing it for us.
yeah, or maybe there's some changes in different safety studies and safety requirements and things like that change the code. But here, I think it meets all the conditions. I personally think it meets the conditions for a special exception. And I'd be a little more hesitant if this were brand new or something, but the fact that it's replacing an existing one gives me a little bit more comfort.
Okay, well then, saying that, if no one else has anything to say, I would like to make a motion that we approve case number 14831 because it meets the special exception for approval? Or,
Yeah, I think that's fine.
okay,
Just meets the
Statutory
requirements for a special
standards.
exception.
I'll second it.
Okay. And before we vote, I'm gonna, just to clear up the record, I don't have anyone signed up to speak for this. I'll wait a few moments and see if anyone else that's on the line wanted to speak on this application. Okay. Hearing none, we've got a motion and a second to approve special exception in case number 14831 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception. Cast your votes, please.
Thank you.
And it's approved. Thank you.
Item number 3, case number 14832, request of Sam Gresham for a variance to setback height and landscape requirements and expansion of a non-conforming building in the O2 General Office District located at 2837 Northwest 58th Street. And I believe Sam Gresham is on the line.
Mr. Grisham, if you wanted to introduce yourself by name and address and present your application.
Audible. Hold on.
I think you're muted again, sir. There you go.
Can you hear me at all?
It's faint, but we can hear
Now we
you.
can. Yeah.
Great. I'll just pull that thing real close and yell into it.
There you go.
Sam Gresham, 400 Northwest 23rd Street, here to represent the owners. The building is built is the staircase that you see in the photo before us. That staircase is on the property line, on it. The building is basically 5 feet from the property line. There's a requirement being adjacent to an R1 zoning that we're required to have a 15-foot setback with a 5-foot landscape buffer, both of which are impossible since the building exists. This little patch of R1 that's right next to it is actually the only R1 and then it goes back to O2. This portion has never been rezoned and may in future be intended to be rezoned, but as of now, it's not. Our purpose is to build in office space below this building and of course modify its spaceship-like appearance so that it doesn't quite look like it does. So we're asking for a means of building at the property line, basically, with a 2-hour rated wall, which it does not have currently. So it would be a code upgrade to this building, meeting current building codes, and would allow us to build within that 15-foot setback. Did you hear any of that?
Yes.
Oh, good, good. I was worried.
Yeah, so it makes sense to me. Has the application changed at all? Or I know it got continued a time or two, and was there some protest or
Well,
something that
Cindy
got
was
sorted out?
concerned that my application, when I wrote it, I left out the 5-foot landscape buffer, which I say, we're building on the property line basically, because the stairs are there, the storage under the stairs are there. The structure's already on the property line. It didn't mention the landscape buffer. And so she added that to the application to make sure that it was comprehensive.
Sure, so you wouldn't have to come back and spend another $1,200 and see us again. So
Exactly, yes.
yeah.
Cindy was looking at it for me.
Yeah. So just so I can understand it, the proposed construction and kind of remodel is not going to extend further east than the current staircase does. Is that accurate?
Exactly. It's impossible because that is the property line. The
Okay.
staircase is on the property line. You'll see a fence there. That fence is actually vertically above. Well, it's right on the fence that is the property line.
Mhm.
Below the staircase, which again, I'm hoping you're looking at the same picture I am, that below those stairs, and there's one in the back and one in the front. You're seeing the one in the front. They have storage. It's completely enclosed beneath that stair. It goes all the way to the ground. We're proposing a 2-hour rated stair enclosure on that side of the building, basically in line with the stairs that we have. So the short answer is no, it will not go further east, primarily because it can't. And secondly, it's not needed. So.
Okay. And then I saw a request in here for the height. Is that just to bring it into conformance? It's not actually going to be built higher?
I think so. I wasn't aware that we had a height issue here, but apparently we do. We're not making the building taller. That's not in the application. We did not intend to do any additions to the top of the building. The building, what you see is what you get. So it's got a facade detail. It's actually some laser cut metal panels that are applied to the exterior. I don't know if if my application included a picture of our proposed renovation to this building, which, it's simply another facade change, but no height change.
Okay. Yeah, and I did not see any renderings of the proposed kind of remodel. But my understanding was that essentially the footprint of the building is going to stay the same. You're just going to fill in a parking lot. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very unique building. I wish you could. I can't believe I've never noticed it before. I think that fence makes it look like it's 2 stories from the street or something, but I've never noticed it. But I wish you could kind of lift it up and as is and put it on Western or something. But I understand, your client's wanting to get a different use out of it. So, board members, any questions or comments? Okay. Was anyone else that's on the line hoping to be heard on this application? Okay. Hearing none, board members, I think we can take questions, comments, or a motion.
I'll move approval of case number 14832 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance.
And that's for all the variances that are requested, is that correct?
Yes, in the application as drafted.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve all the variance requests in case number 14832 for the reason that they meet the statutory conditions for variances. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And I did not see the confirmation screen, and I've been cautioned against saying something's approved without seeing that screen. So staff, has that been approved, or do we need to see the confirmation?
Yes, it was approved unanimously.
Okay, the application's approved. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 4, case number 14833, request of St. Laguna LLC for a variance to minimum lot area, minimum lot width, and rear and side yard setbacks in the R2 medium low density residential district located at 1840 Northwest 11th Street.
Is the applicant on the line? Cindy, do you know if the applicant or
Yes,
the-
I did see them earlier.
Okay.
Tina Oden.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Yes, Keena, I'm here. Keena Oden, 4000 North Kelly Avenue.
Okay, you wanted to present your application for us?
So we are proposing to split the lot at 1840 Northwest 11th Street. There's already 2 structures on the building. We did not build either structure. They were already there. So we have 2 duplexes on 1 lot. This makes it more challenging for financing, as you have to do commercial lending. You can't just get a regular Fannie Mae loan. Also, we're not asking to change the density, but we feel like it would increase the value for the property if they were on 2 separate lots, and increase, future tax revenue. That way they could possibly be changed to single family in the future if someone wanted to. There's also a lot of other lots in, the area and in the Oklahoma City area that a lot of people are getting PUDs and doing infill building. So I don't think this is going to be any different than a lot of the other construction going on currently in the city. It's not in a historic neighborhood, so there's not any restrictions there like in the historic neighborhoods. And we're not really asking to change anything. We're just wanting them to be on their own separate lots and their own legals.
Okay. I kind of have a question for Mr. Privet.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how this lot is going to be split.
This just seemed to me like more of your issue on planning commission, not so much Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, that and where's the split? Is it? It seems like to me one of the properties is on both lots. I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of needing some more detail.
So do you want me to, can I speak?
Sure.
Okay. So the structure in the back, which is south, faces west. Then the property on the north, the structure on the north faces north. They both, obviously they have different addresses for mailing. So we were proposing to split the east or the west. You can see the driveway. We were proposing to split that approximately in the middle. So that would give ample parking to each structure. That's about 20 feet each. I tried to apply through the zoning, and they sent me to the Board of Adjustments, which we've done lot splits before. So I don't do a lot of this. So I was a little confused, but I guess since there's already structures there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I mean, the only time I can really think of where this has come up for the Board of Adjustment is in ag land, the undeveloped agricultural land or something. Sometimes we'll do minimal ones there, but I can't think of a time we've done it in one of these. So again, I kind of asked Mr. Privet. It seems like something you guys deal with quite a bit on planning.
Yeah, but it would have to be something like a PUD or SPUD.
Right, right.
Well, Thad, you know, we that's how we applied. And he said his supervisor said we didn't need to do that. We needed to go to the Board of Adjustment for variance.
So sometimes, just because it's oftentimes a little bit faster just to come here if it's within our purview. Sometimes city says try it out at Board of Adjustment and see if they'll approve it. But Cindy, do you have any more context, or city staff any more context on that?
All I know is that she did apply. That did go to JJ, and they decided that this could go to the Board of Adjustment for variances because it's legal non-conforming. We annexed it in this way. So it does have a lot of issues to be met. And they were just splitting the two lots to try to make them two separate parcels. And it wouldn't meet the deed approval criteria. We did refer her to water and sewer, and she did work with utilities on what would happen. Keena, do you remember what they said actually?
Yes, he said that as long as we had the 5 feet, that we were fine, and it looked like that we did.
Yeah. So this was just the avenue that JJ and Thad sent her down.
Yeah.
Versus going through Planning Commission.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. Just maybe see if the Board of Adjustment would approve it. But I am personally not comfortable unless it's something that planning cannot do, which would kind of shock me if that's accurate. I don't know that I'm comfortable kind of opening this kind of Pandora's box and allowing applicants to come to the Board of Adjustment for stuff like this. I'd prefer this stuff. It just seems to me that it's more of a planning issue. Board of Adjustment's more minor variances here and there, a couple of feet for variance, that kind of stuff. But for this seems a lot more major. Separating out the powers and authorities of each board and commission, this to me struck me as something that Planning Commission should handle. And if they can't, we can reassess, but that's kind of where I am right now. But board members, any questions or comments? I can certainly be outvoted, and it's happened before, so you guys feel free to outvote me, but that's kind of.
I just
Can I
can't.
see if Jared, I don't know if Jared is still on here. I don't know if he needs to speak.
Yeah, Mr. Privet, did you have comments before we recognize?
This is the same one I had before. There's 3 structures on, is it 3 lots? I know those lot lines might not be accurate on my map, but I don't know. I just don't see how we could specify it to, a structure per lot per.
There's only one, there's 2 structures.
Okay, maybe
There's one on the south and one on the north. So one would be north facing and one would be west facing.
Okay, so we're splitting the lot north half, south half?
Yes, you see the dotted line?
That dotted line right there.
Yeah.
Let me get on my view. Okay, yeah, okay. That's better. That makes more sense to me.
Well, I do have a quick question. You, Ms. Oden, you say you're planning on rebuilding on the same lot, 2 separate buildings?
No, they're already there. They're already, 2 separate buildings, but they're on the same lot together, which, the city's doing infill building everywhere where there's, there'll be 4 little structures on one 50 by 140 lot. This isn't really anything different than what's going on. These buildings are already here. We're just asking that they be on their own designated parcel. And we're willing to accept the utilities. We've already, spoke with them in the utility department and worked through all of that. So.
Mhm.
This is Jared Rogers, co-owner as well with this property. They're, for all intents and purposes, they're independent properties as of now. They have yards set up completely separate, fencing is completely separate. There's nothing really connecting the two two parcels at this time, other than we more than comply with the utilities. But just so to settle Mike's question, that they're not joining in any other way, of where the line is being requested on the dotted line is exactly where all the fencing and everything already is, and where the independent yards are completely separated.
And they currently share the same mailing address and everything?
No, they do not. They're completely
Okay.
for all intents and purposes, they have been maintained completely separate.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. As long as legal's okay with it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and I
again.
understand on the merits of it. I don't know that I'm necessarily opposed to it on the merits, although I don't see these cases very often. So, there's that as well. But mine is more on the authority that this board has. And in my view, I don't know that the board needs to get into doing stuff like this. And I think if we allow this one, we're going to start seeing a lot more of these and start taking some power away from planning commission. So again, board members can certainly outvote me, but that's kind of where I stand right now. It's not on the merits of the application at all. It's just kind of on a power and authority basis.
Well, may I speak?
Sure.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts and understand, but we did go to the planning commission and the zoning, and unfortunately they sent us in this direction. So
I know. This is nothing on you, and I don't think you guys were trying to pull a fast one or anything. I mean, I think this is one where city staff said to go to the Board of Adjustment, or maybe sometimes they say try it at the Board of Adjustment because it's a little bit faster, and see what they say. And sometimes we say yes, and sometimes we say no. For me personally, I can't support it, but we can see what the rest of the board does. And I think before a denial, we would allow you to roll the application into a planning commission application so that you didn't miss out on and waste those funds. You just roll it into a planning commission application if it seemed like it was going to be denied. And then if it's going to be approved, the board would just outvote me, and that's fine as well. So board members, questions or comments?
May I say one more thing?
Sure.
So they all have their own individual addresses, and they all have their own electric bills. The only thing, that they share would be the water and sewer. And we're, again, we would be willing to take responsibility of that.
Okay. So board members, we want to kind of see where we stand.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I understand your concerns as far as just kind of setting a precedent in decisions like this moving forward, kind of infringing on planning commission's territory. But had they not referred her here, I think I might be more apt to not support this for those reasons. But I feel like they followed the right process and were sent here, and it's before us now. And so, I mean, like you said, the merits of the application seem fine to me. And so for the purposes of this application, I could support this one.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
I'm in agreement with Monica. I think I can support it.
Yeah, and since it has its own separate addresses and everything else separately, I don't see any reason why we can't separate the property either. And again, they did go to the other board, so I would almost have to be in support of it as well.
They went to the city and the city sent them here, so it hasn't been heard at.
Yes, they went somewhere else and they were sent here secondly.
Well, I wanted to poll the board a little bit just to make sure we didn't vote and and then vote to deny, so that you didn't waste your application. But it sounds like the application has some support, so and of at least 3 board members, which is what you need for approval. So any other questions, comments, or we can take a motion? And I guess I'll wait before I say that. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak in opposition to this application? I don't have anyone signed up to speak, but. Okay, hearing none, board members, questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll move approval.
And I'll second.
Okay, and this is for all of the variances. I think there were a couple. Let's see.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Lot width, lot area, side and rear yard setbacks is what I'm reading.
okay. And then Monica, second still stands.
Yes.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the variance request, all the variance requests in case number 14833 for the reason that they meet statutory conditions for variances. Once you're able to, cast your votes.
Mr. Rivera,
I am not seeing a voting pane.
would you like to vote verbally?
Sure, I will stand by my second.
And it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cindy, do I need to do something or refresh something to get my voting pane back, or is this just PrimeGov acting up?
I would try escape.
Yeah, I mean, I've
That's the
voting
only,
before.
Probably just PrimeGov.
If you opened up the application or exhibits or something, they might have overtaken the main PrimeGov screen. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got them. I've got the various tabs open, but and
Okay.
there's nothing behind it.
Well, if we still have
Anyway.
issues, we can go by voice vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, we're on case, item number 5, case number 14834, request of Milo Box for a variance to permit construction of a swimming pool encroaching a platted building line in PUD 1136 located at 15520 Park Lake Road.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what to do for what I need to say to you or whatever regarding to it. When we started to build or to spot the pool, this is the only location in the plot that allows for a pool to be built. The offset, there was a question regarding encroachment by the pool by water. We got the Open Records Act or Open Records information for the water line to see where it was at and measured it out, and it was 18 feet from the dug portion of the pool to the city's water line. And that was the only concern that we had received from the city regarding the pool.
Okay. I think what helps you here is the peculiar layout of this lot. So that I think helps you. Look at this.
I'm sorry, I thought we got all there. That's a good picture.
Yeah, so I think the peculiar layout helps you a lot. It looks like some of these other houses probably couldn't even fit a pool in their backyard. So maybe that peculiar size helps you and gives you the ability to have a pool there. But
no, especially since right here on this side of the fence is the sewer line that runs the length of the street all the way.
Okay. Board members, questions or comments?
Is there any kind of fencing on that, on your, what's that? Kind of like the west property line?
This right
Yeah.
here is all a 6-foot capped,
Show them that corner. Right.
6-foot capped stockade fence.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good question. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this other than the applicant. Is there anyone on the line that wanted to speak on this application? Hearing none, I think we can take questions, comments, or a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case number 14834 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Once you're able to, cast your votes.
I support that motion. I just cannot vote. I'm trying to log back into PrimeGov now.
Okay. Did you vote approval?
Yes.
Mine has, oh, just popped up. Got it.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad about having to deal with all the computer issues.
It's been pretty seamless before this. I don't know what's going on, but in any event, the application's
Yeah.
approved.
Yeah, council was having issues the other day too.
Thank you very much. You have a good week.
You too. Thank you.
Too. Enjoy the pool.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike.
Okay, we're to item number 6, case number 14835, request of Timbercraft Homes LLC for a variance to the side yard setback in the R1 Single Family District located at 616 Northwest 183rd Street.
Good afternoon, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, on behalf of the applicant. The variance request is for the encroachment into the side yard setback. The side yard setback requirement under R1 is 5 feet. When the house was being constructed, it was being done so based upon a drafted site plan that ended up being slightly in error. And so the encroachment, although is small, is there. We believe the encroachment to be approximately 1.7 feet as it relates to the wall of the house. And the roof overhang would be just slightly more than that. The side yard setbacks are in place to keep uniformity between the houses. 10 feet is what you can expect to see between houses in the R1 district. Based upon the location of the house to our east, we are still able to maintain that 10-foot separation between the houses. So we still think we meet the intent of what the separation requirement is there for. It didn't become clear to us until a survey came in, and it was clear that there was an error by the person that drafted that site plan. And so we are seeking the relief here to allow the house that is already constructed to remain. Again, it's small from the wall. It's approximately 1.7 feet, which is what the variance, because we're 3.3 feet from the wall to the property line. So we'd be happy to answer any questions, and we'd ask for your support.
Mr. Box, not to take work away from you, but what do we need to do as a city to get a survey done before we pour concrete and start building this house?
So I don't know why these are happening more now than they used to, because they're becoming more regular. My guess is if you went and looked at older neighborhoods around the city, this condition exists all over the place. It's really coming up in financing issues and title reports. And so I don't know. I'd be happy to to have this fixed so that my client can hire me to do other stuff. But I don't know to answer. It's a great question, but I don't know. Again, it's human error on all of these, right? Because the one I had 2 weeks ago, the surveyor actually found the wrong pin. I mean, it's human error that is leading to these cases.
Yeah,
Surveyor.
Don't blame the surveyor.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that a lot. It's okay.
They only hired.
Yeah, Yeah.
This one, heck, you could pull a tape from the pin in the middle of the road and figure it out real easy. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the fact that it's minimal, I'm okay with it.
Right. Right. This one's not too offensive, although it is pretty kind of rectangle lot there. It should be pretty easy to measure, but it is minimal and it's at least 10 feet. It's not one where it's just a couple feet between the buildings, which helps. But I'll just need to think through with people that know more about it than me how we can prevent this going forward, because we're seeing way too many of these, and people have to pay the application fee to come do it. So it's, if you can prevent that on the front end, that makes sense to me. So all that to say, my rant is over and I can support the application. So, board members, any other questions or comments? Okay. Was anyone else hoping to speak on this application?
I don't see any.
Okay. Hearing none, board members, questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll move to approve case number 14835 for the reasons it meets the statutory requirements for a variance.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case number 14835 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Once you're able to, cast your votes.
I'm going to have to give a voice vote in favor of the application. I'm still not getting the voting pane. Oh, there it comes. Yay.
Okay.
Well, once I see the confirmation, I can announce.
Monica, it looks like it's still waiting on you. Did you vote yay?
I did vote yay.
Monica?
Yes, I did. And it's colored in on my screen here. It's colored green.
And there's confirmation. The motion's
Thank
approved.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7, case number 14836. It's an application for a special exception of Naomi Hammonds to allow a childcare center in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 1642 East Hill Street. And I believe Naomi's on the line.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yes, so I am Naomi Hammonds. Address is located at 833, Northeast 30th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73105. I am requesting to build a child care center in the residential area at the address 1642 East Hill Street, and that is the lot R0707-32300.
Another one that looks suspiciously like planning commission.
Yeah, this one. It's a little unusual to me that you can get everything you need done through a special exception at the Board of Adjustment for something like this. But if you, I mean, normally we get these, I think, when people want to convert their existing residential structure to childcare.
Right. When I first read it, that's what I thought it was going to be. But
Me too. I was a little surprised that this was going to be a new development. Not that I'm against it or anything, but it's just a little unusual. So I guess, can you give us some information about this development?
Yes, so North Rhode Island Avenue, it runs between 30th and Kelly, or off of Martin Luther King. And also you have 36th Street. That's where North Rhode Island runs between. That actual street, it is a residential area. However, it do have 3 churches on that actual street and a funeral home on the block of that street as well. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to put an updated child care center due to a block from that street of North Rhode Island, running with East Hill Street, we have an elementary school right around the corner. So it's an upcoming community as well. So I just thought that land right there will be perfect for what I am trying to do for the childcare
I guess
center.
maybe, did city staff send you to us? Or how did you get in front of the Board of Adjustment?
I did make a phone call to see to make sure it was approval to actually get a child care center built on that land. They did stated that we will have to go through the subzoning to get that. Now, I am new to this, so they did give me some information on how to get that approved to get that child care there.
Okay. And I guess I need to be clear that I'm not, criticizing the development or casting any questions about the merits. I just want to make sure that you don't have to get any more, approvals or anything from other boards, and you can wrap it all up into one. And so what kind of concerns me with this one is the reason we normally see residential properties that are converted into, full-time or part-time childcare centers is because the residential structure is still going to comply with all the residential zoning. If you're going to stick a huge new building in there, I don't know that you'd still comply with the residential zoning.
Okay.
Even with this special exception. So Mr. Privet or Cindy or anyone have any thoughts on that? I could be way off, but those are just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, mine as well.
Well, in the municipal code, it states that in the zoning of the property is R1, and it does allow the use of a child care center to be granted upon this special exception. And then, of course,
It specifically says the Board of Adjustment shall make assurance. I mean, it mentions that in the code.
And
then I
there's
know that. I'm just saying because it's a new development. I mean, if this thing is
so, I think. Yeah, what building criteria are we going with? Residential or commercial? Or?
Right. I mean, if she builds it in conformity with R1, I don't think we have a problem. But if the lot coverage is more, or there needs to be a parking lot there or something, and the resident, whatever it is, or she has to have certain parking requirements. I don't know that this application is going to get her everything that she needs done. That's kind of my question.
Well, I think we're just approving the use as a special exception, and then she'll have to go to, permitting and comply with the, whatever they're going to require for R1 childcare center.
Yeah.
I was going to ask too, Cindy, so thank you very much, because I was unsure whether or not we're approving her to build the facility or just have the land available for building it.
We're just approving it as it states in the municipal code that use of a child care center, when she applies for applies for a permit, that she has to have a special exception.
Yeah, and so.
And the only what it says in the zoning code is what was in the staffing report about, they have to be any paving, signs, and structural remodeling shall maintain physical compatibility with the surrounding area.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could, I'm not saying we can't grant this. We could certainly grant this, but then when she goes and tries to get a building permit and they say, wait a minute, you're not doing stuff that conforms with R1, you're doing all this other stuff, and now you need to go rezone it or basically make this look like a house. And if that's not what's in her plan, then she's got to either modify her plan or get it rezoned at planning commission, in which case she didn't need to come to us and get a variance, and this money would have been wasted. And so if she can roll her application into a planning commission application, I think that would save her some time and some money. If she doesn't need to, then maybe we can go forward today. I don't know. So Ms. Hammonds, do you have any thoughts on that or information for us? Or another option is you can request a continuance to kind of see and make sure that we could give you all the relief that you need, and you wouldn't have to come back and get, going for a planning commission or come back in front of us for other things that you might need. You might take, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. However, I was just actually making sure we was able again to get that daycare approved to be built on on that lot. Far as the building itself, it will be a commercial building, a steel building, not so far as just this great big huge old building in the residential area. So it will most definitely be at the part for the residential area with that childcare. The permits that will be pulled for us to get that building will be approved. We just had to get approval to actually be able to build on that lot, to put that there.
Or any signage or anything like that, it'll have to be rezoned somehow.
Yes, and we are putting a parking lot there for as no more than 10 parking spaces in that area, actually on that lot, excuse me, and it will be up the part to do that as well for that lot and the space to actually do that.
I'll just say, I don't think that this application is going to get you everything that you need based on what you're telling me. If it's being developed the way that you're saying, it's not going to meet residential zoning. And in that case, you're going to have to go to planning commission anyway. And so instead of us approving this and then you go into the planning commission anyway, you could get this whole thing looped in with the planning commission application and do it all in one application, including the application fee that you've already paid for to come here. So you roll that into a planning commission application. And again, I might be off the mark here, and you might be able to do exactly what you're trying to do based on this area. But every other area that I can think of in Oklahoma City, what you're telling me, based on what you're telling me, you would not comply with residential zoning, and you'd have to go to planning commission. And so, maybe it's best for you to take a continuance of, maybe a month, 2 weeks or a month, and work with the city staff and whoever's developing this to make sure that you don't need to go in front of planning commission, and Board of Adjustment can get you what you need. And if you do need to go to planning commission, then you can button everything up in one application and one application fee and save a lot of time and money.
Okay. So
hopefully that kind of makes sense. I just don't want to waste your time or your money, and I want to make sure you get everything taken care of at one time. And it seems like a great development. I'm not attacking the merits at all. I think it would fit in great based on what you're telling me.
Okay, I do apologize. So is that due also with the other actual businesses that's actually on that street? So it would be a little bit more that we would have to go through just to get approval for that to be on there. Is that what you're stating?
Do you mean, would the other businesses also need to do that? Or I guess I don't
No,
quite
I'm
understand.
not asking do they need to do that. I just, on that street, I do notice it's not any, it's more businesses on that actual street than actually residential park homes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is this on Hill Street or Rhode Island?
We more facing Rhode Island. So Hill Street would be the side, and then Rhode Island is facing the actual main street.
Okay.
It could be non-conforming or they've been rezoned.
Right. I don't know the exact zoning that's underneath each of those buildings. They could be, as Mr. Privet said, they could have existed before this stuff was zoned R1, and they might be non-conforming, or they might have gone to planning commission and gotten it zoned in the appropriate zoning.
Okay.
Or it might comply with R1. I can't imagine that it complies with R1, but it might comply with the residential zoning. So unless you own those properties, I don't know that that's too much of a concern for you. I understand you're saying you're trying to compare your development to theirs, but we look at each other.
I do own the property right across on East Hill Street, which is a auto shop, and I also own the land that we will actually be building the daycare on.
Okay, yeah, so that, I see that auto shop on Google Street View, and it may or may not be a conforming use. I don't see a zoning on my kind of plan here
Okay,
in the application, so I'm not sure what that zoning is. It says, it looks like all that's R1, so that might be non-conforming automotive shop right there. I don't know, but for the purposes of this application, every application stands on its own, and so I can tell you about this application, and it seems to me like it would be in your best interest to try to loop all this into a planning commission application.
okay, got you.
Or work with city staff and explain to me that we're wrong, and we can approve your application and you can develop it the way you want to develop it. But and if that's the case, I'm happy to look into approving this. But based on what I'm seeing right now, it looks like it's in your best interest to probably look into going to planning commission and getting a bunch more of this stuff wrapped up in one application.
Okay,
So Chair, we'll get with the applicant and we'll work with her and bring it back with all the information needed for her to proceed on.
Okay, perfect. Board members, questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Hammonds, how long do you think you'll need? Maybe we can continue, where I'm going with this, we can continue this application for as long as is needed for you to resolve these issues. And then if it gets resolved and we can still handle it, we'll hear it at that time. And then if not, it gets off of our agenda and it goes to planning commission. So do you think it would take maybe a month and a half to resolve all these issues, or what are you thinking?
can you be specific on the issues, please, so I can make sure I reach those to get that taken care of if it's more than I need to do?
Yeah, so city staff, I don't know what your renderings and exactly, what you'll have to comply with in order to make these renderings work. But you'll work with city staff and they'll determine with you what all you'll need to do at planning commission. So, or in front of us, but so for example, if the lot coverage is one thing, or, the height of the building or the width or whatever it is, they'll work with you on that and tell you exactly what you need to do. It's probably going to be a PUD or an SPUD to do exactly what you want to do, or there might be some zoning that might work for exactly what you want to do. But they'll work with you and figure that out. And then you'll just present a full application to planning commission if it needs to be rezoned, or come back to us if it doesn't need to be rezoned.
Okay.
So I would suspect at least a month to do all that.
Yes, well, as soon as possible. So I will most definitely get on that for a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks. Is looking like the time frame I will be able to try to get that situated.
Okay. Well, there's a notice requirement. That notice has to go out to the surrounding property owners a certain amount of time before the meeting. And so you would need a completed application before that notice period. And that's why I'm thinking probably a month. We'd put you on the agenda for a month, and then that would take care of all of that.
Okay.
So that's assuming, Cindy, are we meeting in a month?
We have April 15th and then on to May 6th.
Okay, so this would be the May 6th meeting then. Ms. Hammond, is that okay?
Yes, that will be fine.
Okay. Board members, I think we can take a motion then to continue the application to the May 6th meeting.
Move to continue application to May 6th meeting.
Second it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to continue the application of case number 14836 to the May 6, 2021 meeting. Once you're able to, cast your votes.
Mr. Voorhees,
I vote yes. I can't get a voting pain.
Mr.
You're not
Privet,
the only one. Yes.
Oh, I've hit escape repeatedly.
Just
Looks
throw it
like-
out the window.
Looks like it's been continued.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're back to case number, item number one, case number 14828, but I do not see our applicant online.
Okay.
They continued it because they had a staff change and there was a new representative. And I sent him the invite, but he just hasn't responded today.
Okay. If I recall correctly, I think the board continued this one because they didn't appear last time.
That's correct. We didn't have an applicant.
So the board members, maybe one more continuance for a month to the May 6th meeting.
I'm good with that, so I'll move we continue it to May 6th.
Do we need a full month or can we do it 15th?
I mean, we can, but part of that is just to not, to give them plenty of time to work through whatever they're working through. So
Sounds like some personal problems, maybe.
yeah. Well, and I don't want to have the next meeting them not show up again. And so
Right.
for me, it was a month.
All right, I'm good with it.
Okay, so we got a motion and
I'll second.
now a second to continue case number 14828 to the May 6th, 2021 meeting. And it's continued. Okay, that ends the items requiring separate vote. We've got next on the agenda as additional items. I don't see any. Communications and board reports. I don't see any. Citizens to be heard. We'll wait a couple moments to see if there's anyone that wants to be heard on any items. I don't even see anyone in the meeting to speak on citizens to be heard, so we'll move on. Other business, board members or staff, any other business?
We have
Alright.
none.
Yeah, hearing none and hearing no April Fool's jokes, I guess we are adjourned.
Forget it
I
is.
thought about it.
Yeah, everybody go vote if you have elections coming up.
I got my
Absolutely.
vaccine today.
Nice.
Yeah, first one.
Today you did?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Paula. Looks like she's still on. Paula got me one.
Nice. Any
You're
symptoms?
welcome.